Good day everyone! Magkakaroon lang po kami ng mga pahapyaw sa Chapter 10 which is Group Influence and Opinion Leadership. Since na-discuss na po ito last meeting, so i-discuss din po namin yung mga other topics na hindi na-mention before and some additional videos about our topics. Reference group is an actual or imaginary individual or group conceived of having significant relevance upon an individual's evaluations, aspirations, or behavior. Yung mga tao or group of individual na nakakaapekto or nakaka-influence sa isang consumer when it comes to their behavior or evaluation sa isang certain product or services na gusto nilang i-purchase. And meron ngang tatlong types ang reference group. Yun nga ay yung normative influence, comparative influence, and formal versus informal groups. Then, meron tatlong forms ang reference group influence. So, yun ay yung informational, utilitarian, and value expressive. Next is the membership versus aspirational reference group. Aspirational reference group comprise idealized figures such as successful business people, athletes. Na-discuss na din naman to last meeting, so hindi ko na elaborate. Then, membership reference groups, ordinary people whose consumption activities provide informational social influence. At naapektuhan ito ng several factors including propinquity, mere exposure, and group cohesiveness. So kapag sinabi nating propinquity, kapag nababawasan ng physical distance and nadadagdagan ng opportunities for interaction, relationship are more likely to form at yung physical nearness ang tinatawag na propinquity. Then, mere exposure. So we tend to like person or things kapag madalas natin itong nakikita at ito ang tinatawag na mere exposure phenomenon. So, sa pagdalas ng contact sa isang bagay o tao, kahit unintentional man ito, it could still help to determine one set of local reference. And the last one is group cohesiveness. So, ito naman yung level kung saan ang member ng group ay naa-attract sa isa't isa because of sharing of the same interest and value. Their group membership is called cohesiveness. As the value of the group to the individual increase, so too does the likelihood that the group would guide consumption decision. Next is the positive versus negative reference group. So, reference group may exert either a positive or a negative influence on consumption behavior. Consumer distance themselves from other people or groups. So, ito yung tinatawag nga na avoidance group. So, a consumer may carefully study the things that the disliked group wanted and needed dahil he or she would try to avoid that para hindi siya ma-identify na kabilang sa group na iyon. To distance oneself from a negative reference group can be as or more powerful than the desire to please a positive group. Virtual communities. What is a virtual community consumptions? So, it is a group of people kung saan ang nagaganap na online interaction with one another ay nakabase sa shared interest nila at kaalaman about sa specific consumption activity. So, yun nga ang virtual communities may come in different form. It can be multi-user dungeons, so MUD, rooms, rings, and lists, boards, and blogs, which is na-discuss ko na last meeting. Proceed tayo sa 4 distinct member types ng virtual communities. Ingat, mayroong tourists, minglers, devotees, and insiders. So, kapag sinabi nating tourists, they have lack of social ties sa group, pero nami-maintain nila yung passing interest nila sa activity. Kapag naman minglers, pinapanatili nila yung strong social ties among the group, pero hindi sila ganun ka-interesado sa mga activities. Kapag naman devotees, pinapakita nila yung strong interest nila dun sa activity, pero kokonti lang yung social attachment niya sa group. And last, the insiders. Kapag insiders naman, parehas niyang pinapakita yung strong social ties at yung strong interest dun sa activity. Then, brand communities and tribes. So, ang brand communities is a set of consumer who share a set of social relationship based upon usage or interest in a product. So, unlike other communities, ang mga member ng brand communities ay karaniwang malayo sa isa't isa. Kumbaga, malayo ang kanilang tirahan or location sa kada member at madalas silang nagsasama-sama kapag may mga organized event and it called brand fest. So, ito yung nakaka-enhance ng kanilang brand loyalty. Then, consumer tribes share emotions, moral beliefs, style of life, and affiliated product. At yung tribal marketing naman is yung linking a product to the needs of a group as a whole. Then, the power of reference group. So, yun nga, merong 7 power ang reference group, which is the social power, referent power, information power, legitimate power, expert power, reward power, and coercive power. So, the next video will contain additional information about reference group at pati na rin mga example nito.
A reference group includes individuals or groups that influence our opinions, beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors. They often serve as our role models and inspiration. Marketers view reference groups as important because they influence how consumers interpret information and make purchasing decisions. Reference groups influence what types of products you will purchase and which brand of product you choose. Reference groups can be divided into 2 major types. A normative reference group influences your norms, attitudes, and values through direct interaction. Examples of your normative reference groups include your parents, siblings, teachers, peers, associates, and friends. A comparative reference group is a group of individuals whom you compare yourself.
So, ang next naman nating tatalakayin is conformity. So, ano nga ba ang conformity? Conformity refers to a change in beliefs or actions as a reaction to real or imagined group pressure. So, there are 2 types of social influence. It's either normative or informational. Kumbaga, we are just conforming para masunod or gayahin yung mga gusto at ginagawa ng iba. So, kung ano man yung nakikita mong ginagawa ng iba is ginagaya mo lang kasi ayaw mong mawala sa uso, parang ganon. So, hindi lang naman yan kung dahilan kung bakit tayo nagko-conform. So, dito naman, makikita natin yung factors that affects the likelihood of conformity. So, meron tayong 5. Cultural pressure, fear of deviance, commitment, group dynamics, susceptibility to interpersonal influence. So, ang ibig sabihin lang nito is naapektuhan yung conformity natin dahil na rin sa influensya ng ibang tao. Kumbaga, meron ditong isang specific na tao or group na yun lang ang sinusunod mo. Kung paano or ano ang gagawin mo, kung ano ba yung susundin mo, kung anong paniniwalaan mo, ganon. Katulad na lamang nitong susceptibility to interpersonal influence. So, sa isang product, meron talagang isang kilalang tao na ginagamit para i-promote ang isang product. Kagaya na lang ni Pia Wurtzbach, isang sikat na artista. So, syempre, kung madami ang maaaring bumili nung product na ine-endorse niya, and kapag nakita ng isang tao na madaming bumibili dun sa product na yun, syempre may inganyo siya na gayahin ginagawa ng iba na bibili din siya, ganon. Social comparison theory asserts that we look to the behavior of others to provide a yardstick about reality as a way to increase the stability of one's self-evaluation. Consumers are selective about whom they use for benchmarks. In general, people tend to choose a co-oriented peer or a person of equivalent standing when performing social comparisons. Ibig sabihin, isang tao is sumahanap ng mga kakilala, it's either kaibigan, relatives, or classmates, para i-evaluate yung isang product na gusto nilang bilhin. Siyempre, kapag yung mga kaibigan nila is meron ng experience dun sa product na yon, siyempre magtitiwala na sila na bilhin yung product na yon. Is compliance and obedience. So first is foot in the door, ibig sabihin, make a small request first, then make a larger one later. Ibig sabihin, ang isang salesperson is kailangan niyang kumbinsihin ang isang tao para makapasok sa bahay nila, and once na engage na sa conversation yung target person, mahihirapan na itong tumanggi sa alok ng salesperson, gaya ng panonood ng demonstration ng product na binibenta niya. Next is lowball technique. It means person is asked for a small favor that turns out to be costly. Hindi ko alam kung bakit may ganitong technique. Kasi para siyang scam no? Legit wrong. Ito yung mga salesperson na sa una, bobala-bolahin ka, ganon. Kunwari, mababa yung presyo, pero maya-maya mag-iiba na, tataas na. So, sasabihin ng salesperson na mababa yung presyo na yun para bumili yung target person, and then kapag pumayag na siya, biglang magbabago yung presyo. Siyempre, hindi na makakatanggi dun yung target person na yun. The third one is door in the face. Ibig sabihin, make an extreme request first, then a reasonable request later. So, ang door in the face is para din siyang foot in the door, in which a persuader begins with a small request and gradually increases the demands of each request. So, ang example nito is, halimbawa, meron kang friend, and humiram siya sa'yo ng pera, and medyo nalakihan ka dun sa hinihingi nito. So, wala kang magawa kundi tanggihan ito, pero humiram pa rin siya sa'yo, pero mababang halaga na, and hindi ka na makakatanggi pa dun sa alok niya. At dahil sa nakahiram na siya sa'yo ng pera, syempre iisipin ng kaibigan mo na pwede niyang ulitin yung panghihiram niya ng pera sa'yo dahil pumayag ka na dun sa pangalawa niyang request. This is group effects of individual behavior. The first one is the individualism. It refers to when a person becomes part of a crowd or groups and then begins to lose their individual identity. They become less aware of self and who they are as an individual. Ibig sabihin, binabago ng isang tao ang kanyang sarili para magustuhan siya or para makibagay dun sa mga taong nakapaligid sa kanya. So, iniisip niya na baka hindi siya magustuhan ng ibang taong nakapaligid sa kanya. If ganun siya, ang ginagawa niya is binabago niya ang identity niya para magustuhan siya ng ibang tao. Next is social loafing. Describes the phenomenon that people do not devote as much to a task when their contribution is part of a larger group effort. So, halimbawa, sa school, kapag merong group activity, kalimitang ginagawa ng isang member ng group is hindi siya tumutulong kasi groupings nga yun, bahala na yung ibang ka-groups niya or bahala na yung leader niya na gumawa. Kasi groupings naman yun, hindi naman siya maapektuhan kasi by group naman yun. The third one is risky shift. So, kumbaga, mas pabor ang iba na gawin yung bagay na sinang-ayunan ng lahat and willing silang mag-take ng risk kaysa sa sarili mong desisyon. So, ibig sabihin wala silang pakialam sa kung ano man yung kalalabasan ng desisyon na ginawa nila. Ang mahalaga lang sa kanila is sinang-ayunan yun ng lahat. So, next natin is decision polarization. Evidence for the risky shift is mixed. A more general effect appears to be that group discussion tends to increase decision polarization. Ibig sabihin, ang isang group of consumers is nagde-decide between risky choice or conservative choice before sila mag-start ng discussion. Next is shopping behavior. So, ang shopping behavior is nagbabago rin when people do it in a groups. So, halimbawa, kapag magsha-shopping ka mag-isa, so, syempre, kadalasan, yung mga bibilhin mo is nakaplano na kung ano ba yung mga balak mong bilhin. Pero, nagbabago ito kapag may kasama ka. For example, kasama mo best friend mo or squad. So, di ba may impluwensyahan kanila na kahit wala sa plano mong bilhin yung bagay na yon, mapapabili ka talaga. Last is bandwagon effect. So, it is the tendency of an individual to acquire a particular style, behavior, or attitude because everyone else is doing it. As more people come to believe in something, others also hop on the bandwagon. So, ibig sabihin, ang isang consumer is sumusunod lang sa kung ano ang nasa uso and sa kung ano ang madalas niyang nakikita sa ibang tao. Parang gumagaya lang sa kung ano ang nakikita niyang ginagawa ng iba. For example, when it seems like everyone is adopting a certain diet, so people become more likely to try the diet also. Or kaya sa elections, kadalasan na nangyayari is ang boto ng isa is nakadepende sa kung sino ang mas pinapanigan ng marami. At yung sa tingin nila ay mananalo dahil sa maraming nakasuporta.
A pleasant day everyone. So dagdag information lang and short elaboration sa discuss nitong nakaraang araw. Word of mouth communication. Much information about products and services is actually conveyed by individuals on an informal basis called word of mouth communication. Also, it is a free advertising triggered by customer experiences. So, ang word of mouth communication nga ay yung pagpapasa natin ng information about sa isang product or service patungo sa ating mga kakilala, kaibigan, or kamag-anak, mapa-negative or positive man ito. Kasi nga tayo as a customer, once nasarapan tayo sa isang product, na-satisfied sa isang service o maging napangitan man, hindi natin napapansin ngunit na ipapasa natin yung information na ito patungo sa ibang tao. Na ikukwento natin ito sa kanila upang maging aware din sila dito. At bakit nga ba daw nangyayari ang word of mouth communication through informal basis? Ito ay dahil nga nagaganap ito sa simpleng usapan or huntahan ng mga tao na yung interest nila sa isang product ay nagre-reflect na sa kanilang daily conversation. Dagdag pa rito, free advertisement siya kasi nga customer na mismo nagpo-promote ng isang product or service once na na-enlightened or naka-experience sila ng kakaiba mula sa product na kanilang kinain or lugar na kanilang pinuntahan. At ang word of mouth communication nga ang isa sa pinaka-effective na marketing method kasi nga mas pinagkakatiwalaan at pininiwalaan ito ng mga tao. Dahil nga yung information na naibabahagi sa kanila ay recommended mismo ng isang customer na naka-experience ng isang product or service. So for the additional information, I have here a video related to word of mouth.
Word of mouth is the most powerful form of marketing. It builds brands, drives sales, and sparks conversations, both consumer to consumer and consumer to brand. The founders of WOMA, the Word of Mouth Marketing Association, had the vision to understand that the power of WOM would only increase as people became more interconnected through social media. This vision continues today, as WOMA has become the premier organization focused on representing and improving the word-of-mouth marketing industry. Word-of-mouth marketing can be defined simply as any business action that earns a customer recommendation, delivering the best product in a category, providing a great customer experience, rewarding customer loyalty. These are all examples of business actions that can earn customer recommendations. Recommendations are important to marketers because when a recommendation is earned, it indicates preference from a customer, leads to purchase by a customer, and results in a strong probability that the customer will tell others through word of mouth.
Wow!
As an organization, WOMA believes the most effective word of mouth marketing follows 5 principles. It's credible, respectful, social, measurable, and repeatable. Here's how we define each principle. Credible word of mouth is honest and authentic marketing messages, from brands to customers, and from customers to customers. Respectful word of mouth is transparent and trustworthy behavior, as it relates to privacy matters between brands and consumers. Social word of mouth involves brands listening to conversations, participating in conversations, responding to conversations, and encouraging conversations, online and offline. Measurable word of mouth is the ability to define, monitor, and evaluate a program's success. Repeatable word of mouth is the ability to do it over and over again in order for a business to become a truly talkable brand. The reality is, not every brand becomes talkable. However, through WOMA's ongoing education and its growing community of visionary marketers, you can learn what's working today and what will work tomorrow to make your brand a talkable brand.
So as what we can conclude on the video, word of mouth plays a crucial role in every business, since it is the most powerful form of marketing. If it can be done properly and effectively, it can help a company build its brand. Also, it can drive them to have a good sales and profit, and it can be a way to relay the brand's information to their target customers. But not all businesses are lucky enough to be a talkable or be a well-known brand. That's why, according to the Word of Mouth Marketing Association or WOMA, for a business to have effective word of mouth, they should follow the 5 principles, which are credible, respectful, social, measurable, and repeatable. If they can apply these principles, it can drive them to success and be a well-known brand company. Now let's proceed to the dominance of word of mouth. So the first one is guerrilla marketing. So it is a way to market a product or service in a different manner or outside the box. Marketing a product different from competitors. So ito naman yung pag-market ng isang product in a different way, unexpected, using surprises or unconventional techniques. Isa din ito sa pinaka-effective kasi nga agaw pansin siya at mas tumatatak talaga ito sa isipan ng mga tao. So I have here some examples of guerrilla marketing. So the first one nga ay yung billboard na inilagay nila sa pakwebang daan. So kahit sino naman yung dadaan dito, talagang mapapansin siya. Then the next one is the McDo, kung saan nilagay nila yung kanilang product at logo sa isang pedestrian lane. And then the last one na KitKat na ginawa naman nila sa isang bench. The next one is the viral marketing. It is a style of promotion that relies on an audience to generate the message of a product or services. Marketing is considered viral when it reaches the point where it is being shared by a public at large than its audience. So dito naman nakadepende siya sa customer kung magkikilik ba ito sa kanila. And internet yung pinaka-main medium sa pagpo-promote ng product, which is through social media such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and even YouTube. Effective din siya na marketing method kasi nga once na naging click siya sa masa, mga customers na mismo yung kusang mag-share nito. At kinukonsider nga na viral ang isang marketing if yung na-reach niya ay hindi lang yung kanyang target audience kundi ang sambayanan o karamihan. So here are some examples of viral marketing. The first one is the Magnum, Wendy's, and then the KFC. So, dagdag information na din kasi hindi siya natakal nitong last discussion. Identifying opinion leaders. So, gaya nga na nabanggit nitong nakaraan, opinion leaders are those individuals or organizations that are experts or knowledgeable about sa isang product, service, or company. So, sila yung mga trusted na mga consumers when it comes to their buying decision. So, dahil nga central ang opinion leaders when it comes to consumer buying decision, marketers are quite interested na mahanap kung sino ba yung mga influential na individual para sa kanilang product strategy. First one are the professional opinion leaders, people such as doctors or scientists who obtain specialized information from technical journals and other practitioners. So, ang mga professional opinion leaders naman ay yung mga bihasa or eksperto in a certain field. So, sila yung may mga pinag-aralan. Sila karaniwan yung target ng mga marketers kasi nga, if sila mismo nag-endorse ng product, mas nakaka-attract ito ng mga consumer. Dahil galing na nga ito from a doctor prescriptions at mga bihasang tao ang nag-i-endorse ng isang produkto. The next one is the consumer opinion leaders. So, sila naman yung mga everyday consumer o pangkaraniwang mamimili. And they typically influences 5 to 10 consumers. Sinasabi rin na mas mahirap daw silang malukit kasi nga, unlike dun sa mga celebrity na kilala ng karamihan, itong mga opinion leaders ay yung identity nila is unknown o ilan lamang yung mga nakakakilala. And consumer opinion leaders help marketers target their product-related information to appropriate settings and media. Halimbawa na nga lamang ay kung hinahanap ng mga marketers ay yung mga financial opinion leaders. So through their research, they found out na yung mga consumer daw na ito ay involved in managing their own finances and tended to use computers to do so. Sila din yung mga tao na mahilig magbasa ng libro or manood ng TV na may kaugnayan or devoted sa financial issues. So, kung saan sila nakaklasify, nagre-reflect ito kung ano yung kanilang interest at kinahihiligan. Dagdag pa rito, if gusto ng mga marketers na hanapin yung mga technical opinion leaders, so, syempre, dun sila pupunta sa mga taong bihasa sa paggamit ng computer o mga IT genius. The third one is the self-designating method. In this method, they simply ask individual consumer whether they consider themselves to be an opinion leaders. So, para matukoy ng mga marketers kung sino nga ba yung mga opinion leaders, ginagawa nila yung method na ito. Kung saan tinatanong nila ang bawat isa kung kinukonsider ba nila yung sarili nila as a opinion leaders. So, ina-assess nila ang mga consumers through a survey. So, nagpo-provide sila ng mga questions. And sinasabi rin na hindi daw reliable yung ganitong method kasi nga daw merong iba na nagse-self-proclaim o meron namang iba na influential na tao, ngunit tinatago yung kanilang identity. So, para ma-make sure nila kung sino nga ba yung mga opinion leaders, meron silang alternative method, kung saan nagsaselect sila ng mga group members or mga key informants, at sila yung hinihingan nila ng opinion kung sino sa tingin nila ang mga opinion leaders, kung sino sa palagay nila ang mga influential na tao. The last one is the sociometric method. This trace communication patterns among group members and allow researchers to systematically map out the interactions that take place among group members. So, para malaman nila kung sino nga ba yung mga opinion leaders, ang ginagawa nila ay ini-interview ang mga participants ng bawat grupo. Tinatanong nila kung saan ba sila pumupunta or kumukonsulta para sa product information. And through this, nalalaman ng mga marketers kung sino nga ba yung source of product-related information. At ito daw yung pinaka-precise and effective method upang matukoy ang mga opinion leaders. Pero it is very hard and expensive daw kasi it involves very close study of interaction. Kaya kalimitan siyang ginagawa sa hospitals, prisons, and army bases, and sa lugar na isolated from social networks. So, this is the end of our discussion. Thank you for listening to us and we hope na may natutunan kayo.